business. Right. Here we go. Okay. Hi, I am James, and this is Cellotape Icons, a series where we speak to some of the people from around the world that we feel are making the world a more interesting, colourful and thoughtful place. And I'm here today with Ella Barton Buchanan, a stylist from New Zealand. So, Ella, what do you love about your job?
Well, what I love about my job is working with, creative and interesting people from all around the world that, every day is different. Every day is different. And also the creative process. So coming up with an idea and communicating that through fashion and through a series of photos, basically.
Now, I'd love to hear more about this creative process, because it feels like that's really sort of what's at the heart of what you're doing. So is there a time that stands out where you just, the whole process, like almost what you did was worthwhile, irrelevant of what the outcome was? Is there a time that stands out like that?
Definitely. It was one editorial that I was styling for L'Officiel that we shot in Istanbul. And basically it was, the idea was sort of like a tourist in Istanbul. We were shooting at the sort of iconic spot in Istanbul with the locals. And, it was a memorable shoot with the model, especially. She had such a great personality, and this really showed through the photos, and she was interacting with the locals. It was hilarious, actually, and it's funny. Even the photos are humorous too, and I just feel like it really captured exactly what we were trying to communicate.
And with that, was there something sort of particularly inspiring about, when you've got all these different people? I mean, I've not yet, I've been through Istanbul, I've not been, but my imagination of it is somewhere that's mad. So just the thought of sort of being there with this like gorgeous model, and you've got all these people who are just like, what's going on? As a creative process, was there something different about having all that stuff going on that made that? Did it make the process more exciting? I guess there's more risk involved.
Oh, there's more risk, but I think it's more candid and it's more natural. You don't know, like who's going to be there, because they were literally the local people. But I think that's what made it all the more interesting, and that it wasn't planned. We didn't know who's going to be there. It was chaotic, but that's what Istanbul is. Istanbul is chaotic, and that was communicated through the images. And the local people, they love tourists, they love foreigners. They really got involved, and it was, I don't know, it just made me really happy.
Nice. And do you think that shines through in the work? Do you think that chaos comes through?
Yeah. Well, when the photographer, he was taking the photos, it was funny because then all of a sudden all these other Turkish people appeared with cameras. They too, with professional cameras.
Man, amazing. So that's somewhere that you've traveled geographically. If you could go back to any time in the world, when would you go to?
I would love to be transported back to the late 1960s. First of all, I love the fashion, and also I love that it was such an iconic time with so many movements that shaped the future of the world. And I feel like that's also communicated through the clothes. And I mean, just with the civil rights movement, with women gaining so much power, anti-war, you know, so many iconic moments happened during this time. And I just find it really inspiring.
Do you think, as a stylist, do you think that those big movements are particularly relevant in your work? You know, when you've got these things that are happening in society or in culture, do you think they're a reference point or an inspiration to the work that you do?
I think so, definitely. And it's, you cannot avoid it, actually. You have to embrace it. And I mean, look what's happening now, right?
So,
So,
and that's, yeah, for sure. So with that then, because that's really interesting, because some people might see fashion as an escapism and a case of, you know, well, all this stuff's going on here, we don't want to look at that, so instead we're going to focus on looking gorgeous or whatever. But you would say your experience is different.
No, I agree with that too. It's interesting now when I'm trying to come up with concepts for an editorial, because it's hard not to sort of, we cannot pretend that everything's fine, you know? So actually now I'm trying to come up with ways, and I'm in the process now of sort of, you know, not ignoring what's happening. And yeah, let's see. I mean, I really don't know what's going to happen, but I would like to somehow use what's happening to communicate that through an editorial. But watch the space, because everything's changing every day, right?
Amen. And you, sorry.
I'm scared to check the news.
Well, yeah, and I think what you said there is really interesting, and I'd be interested to sort of just touch on it in regards to, you know, we don't know what's happening, and you know, people everywhere are sort of unsure of that. And how are you finding that in your industry and with the work that you're doing? Are you finding challenges because of where we're at?
Definitely, because as a stylist and as anyone who works on a photo shoot, you do essentially need to be in contact, and we're trying to avoid that as much as possible. And every day the restrictions change. So, you know, late last year I put so much effort into, you know, contacting all the designers, the showrooms to get all the clothes. You know, I put in so much hard work, as did everyone on the team, for it all to be cancelled because you cannot have contact with people. So I think everyone's starting to think of, you cannot just have one job right now or one skill. So I'm trying to advance myself in other areas and also other kind of work alongside, because you cannot just be a stylist or just be a photographer. You need to have a variety of skills.
Now, I'm interested with this because, so if you could go back, you've still got your time machine, and this time we're not going back as far. You go back to when you were 18. If you could give, now I think this is particularly pertinent because what you know just from being alive in 2021 gives you a different outlook. But what advice would you give to your 18-year-old self?
It would be to believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will. You know, to be self-confident and to love yourself, because in my culture, coming from New Zealand, and I'm sure it's relatable to, you know, throughout the world, to sort of be self-confident can be sort of cocky, you know, like you're self-obsessed or something. But it's not about being cocky, no, because I was much shyer then, and I'm still working on this. But you know, you need to believe in yourself. You need to be self-confident in order to succeed in life. And it's not cockiness, actually. It's not cockiness at all, and it's something that's very essential. And that's what I would definitely tell myself.
That's wise. Well, is there one thing, and this is a big question, and it was such a nice. I really felt what you were saying, and I wondered if there was one thing that's happened to you, or one experience that you had that really helped sort of embed that, or you know, you came away and looking back, you went, yeah, that I really learned from that experience.
You mean about believing in yourself and so on?
Yeah, and about sort of that idea of, you know, people are might see you as cocky, but it's not. It's not about.
Well, I think people always perceive you in a way that they want to view you. So it doesn't really matter if they think you're cocky, annoying, shy, loud, just be whatever you want to be. And, you know, I think I learned this also just I just left New Zealand and I didn't know anyone. I moved to Shanghai. I didn't know anyone. I only had myself, right? Nobody else to support me and say, you're amazing, you're going to do great. So I had to believe in myself. I had no other option. Otherwise, I was going to be screwed. So I think it's been pushed into the deep end, basically, many, many times now, that you just have to. As I said, it's essential.
Cool, man. Well, look, thank you so much. I have nothing to add. That was just that was lovely. So thank you so much, Ella, and yeah, all the best.
Thank you too.
We will watch this space to see what you manifest.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you. Excellent. So this has been Cellotape Icons, and my name's James, and we'll see you again.